गौरांग गंधा गिरिधारी शिशि राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज शिल गुरुदेव की जाय। नित्यालल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shutar Shuta Shishmar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shutar Shuta Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shutar Shuta Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Shri Jeev Gopal Patadasa Raghunath. Shard Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Surup Damodar Rai Ramanandari. Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Jai Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जाय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जाय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदत्त गिरिराज महाराज की जाय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जाय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जाय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जाय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जाय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाय की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जय श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर जैव-धर्म की जय। श्री दशमूल-शिक्षा की जय। जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Uh, let's see. Kana Haladar Prabhu. And I see there's one person watching on YouTube or Facebook. Maybe that's Indira Mataji, or I don't know who that is. So let's do the Mangala Charan first, and then I'll talk. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Gaudiya Gurvanvaye Bhato Bhanuriva Prabhata Gagane Yogora Sankirtanai Maya Bharati Mingilo Daragatan Udritya Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdi Gahana Sukhang Pradat Prabhung Tang Bhaje Vande Bhakti Vinodang Shri Gaura Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Shastra Samrajan Radha Rasa Sudha Nidim Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugavarayate Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vrishabhanusutan Vitavamatanum Yamuna Tatanagarananda Sutam Murali Kalagita Vinoraparang Bhaja Godrumakanana Kunja Vidum Smara Gaura Gadadhara Keli Kalam Bhavagoragadadhara Shrenugoragadadhara Bhajagodrumakanana kunjavidum Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya devi tvang nayamang charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay क्षिप्ताश्च कामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दं भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams, Kana Haladar Prabhu, Shri Devi Didi, Premavati Didi, and Kishore Prabhu, maybe Indira Mataji, and I see there are a couple other devotees there. I don't know who you are. Uh, if if you write a comment, then I'll see your name. But thank you so much for joining our new program that we're starting today. We are going through Daśa-mūla-śikṣā. By these are the 10 like most essential and like the Mahaprabhu's entire philosophy, everything condensed into 10 uh, instructions, 10 teachings, I guess you'd say. Yeah. Today, we're not going to be going over any of the Daśa-mūla-śikṣā because, yeah, the Daśa-mūla-śikṣā part is that's the middle section of Jaiva-dharma. It's part two of Jaiva-dharma. And but I wanted to read the chapter before part two. So that's part two begins on chapter 13. So we're reading chapter 12, and that will introduce the the one of the main characters, Vrajanath Prabhu, sorry, Vrajanath, and also Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj. And then I guess Vijay Kumar comes in the next chapter. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read Jaiva-dharma. But yeah. At first, my plan was to start with on reading chapter 13 and just start with the Daśa-mūla-śikṣā. But then I realized, no, we need to get to know who these characters are. And so that's why I decided to read this chapter. It is 6,500 words. So I'm gonna stop talking and we'll just start. But yeah, and I'm hoping that we will with this program, this Daśa-mūla-śikṣā program, we will complete the whole topic of Sambandha. It's divided into three parts: Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojan. And most of it is all on the topic of Sambandha. Those are the first eight of the 10 teachings of the Daśa-mūla. It's the first eight principal teachings, fundamental teachings are on the topic of Sambandha. So I'm hoping to get there, like finish that on New Year's Eve. And yeah, so that's how we'll end our year. Dandavat pranams Niri Hari Prabhu and Pavatarani Mataji. Hare Krishna. All right, so I'm going to start now. I'm curious, actually. I'm going to time myself this time to see how long does it actually take me to read. Yeah, okay. Just so I get an idea. All right, so chapter 12 of Jaiva-dharma, Nitya-dharma and Sadhan. Oh, and sorry, one last thing. With this program, what I want to do for myself, and if anybody wants to join, that's great. It's like that'd be really enthusing for me. What I want to do is try to memorize all the verses of Daśa-mūla. At the before Chaturmasya, those are the three things I really wanted to study was the Swaniyam Dvadashakam of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Swaniyam Dashakam, and Dashmula. I did the first two, but I never got around to Daśa-mūla, so now I'm going through it now. But if anybody is interested in memorizing these verses, then um, I would love, like, I'd be so much fun to, uh, I don't know, like recite the verses to each other once we have it memorized. Or so if anybody's interested in doing that, send me a message and we can, yeah, help each other with it. In this program, I'm going to try to go through and break down the words of all, like go through the Sanskrit and make it so that all the words are clear, so that if you want to memorize it, it will be really easy. And the reason I'm actually doing this program is because I need to translate it for the Gaudiya Giti Gucha. So anyhow, okay, let's begin. Oh, Hare Krishna, Draupadi Didi, Hare Krishna. Okay. So, chapter 12, Nitya-dharma and Sadhan. Shri Navadip Mandal is supreme among all holy places of the world. Like Sri Vrindavan, it covers an area of 32 square miles and is shaped like an 8-petaled lotus flower. The center of that lotus is Sri Antardvip, the core of which is Sri Mayapur. To the north of Sri Mayapur is Sri Samantadvip, where a temple of Sri Samantini Devi is situated. I just went there recently, a couple days ago. To the north of this temple is the village of Bilva Pushkarini, and to the south lies Brahman Pushkarini. That area, which is located in the northern section of Sri Navadip, is commonly referred to as Simulia. At the time of Sri Mahaprabhu, Simulia was the residence of many learned pundits. The father of Shachi Devi, Sri Nilambar Chakravarti Mahashaya, had also lived in this village. Now, not far from where Nilambar Chakravarti's house still stood, lived a Vedic Brahmin named Vrajanath Bhattacharya. Vrajanath had been brilliant from his childhood. He had studied in a Sanskrit school in Bilva Pushkarini, and he had become such a superior scholar of the science of logic of Nyaya Shastra that his ingenious and innovative arguments embarrassed and intimidated all the renowned scholars of Bilva Pushkarini, Brahman Pushkarini, Mayapur, Godrum, Madhyadvip, Amraghat, Samudragad, Kulia, Purvastali, and other places. Wherever there was a gathering of pundits, Rajanath Nyaya Panchanana, he would set this assembly ablaze with a barrage of unprecedented arguments. Among these pundits was a cruel-hearted logician named Nyayika Chudamani, who was deeply mortified by the wounds he had received from the sharp blows of Rajanath's logic. This logician resolved to kill Nyaya Panchanana, using the occult knowledge described in the Tantra Shastra, by which one can evoke another's death through mystical incantations. To this end, he moved into the cremation ground in Rudradvip, and he began to utter death mantras day and night. Oh my God. It was Amavasya, the night of the new moon, and dense darkness pervaded all the 4 directions. At midnight, Nyayika Chudamani, he sat in the middle of this cremation ground and called out to his worshipable deity, "O mother, you are the only worshipable deity in this Kali Yuga. I have heard that you become pleased simply by the recitation of a few mantras, and that you easily bestow benedictions upon your worshippers. O goddess with a terrifying face, this servant of yours has undergone tremendous hardship in reciting your mantras for many days. Please be merciful upon me just once. O mother, although I am plagued with many faults, you are still my mother. Please excuse all my faults and appear before me today." In this way, repeatedly calling out with cries of distress, Nyaya Chudamani offered oblations in the fire while uttering a mantra in the name of Vrajanath Nyaya Panchanana. How astonishing was the power of that mantra! The The sky immediately became overcast with a mass of dense dark clouds. Fierce wind began to blow, and deafening peals of thunder roared. Hideous ghosts and evil spirits could be seen in the intermittent flashes of lightning. With the help of the sacrificial wine, Chudamani summoned all his energy and called out, "O mother, please do not delay another moment." Just then, an oracle from the heavens replied, "Do not worry. Rajanath Nyaya Panchanana, um, sorry, Rajanath Nyaya Panchanana will not discuss the Nyaya Shastra for long. Within a few days, he will give up debating and remain silent. He will no longer be your rival. Be peaceful and return home." When the Pandit heard this oracle, he became satisfied. He repeatedly offered pranam to Mahadev, the chief of the Devas and author of the Tantra, and then returned to his own home. Rajanath Nyaya Panchanan had become a Digvijay Pandit, one who has conquered the four directions through scholarship at the age of 21. Only 21 years old. Wow. Day and night, he studied the books of the famous logician Sri Gangeshopadhyaya, who had initiated a new stream of logic known as Navya Nyaya. Navya means new, right? Rajanath had found many faults in Kanai Bhatta Shiromani's Diditi, which was a celebrated commentary on Gangeshopadhyaya's Tattva Chintamani. And so Rajanath, he began to write his own commentary. Although he never thought of material enjoyment, the word paramartha, spiritual reality, never so much as entered his ears. His single focus in life was to initiate logical debates using concepts and terminology of nyaya, such as avacheda, the property of an object by which it is distinguished from everything else; vyavacheda, exclusion of one object from another; ghata, a clay pot; and pata, a piece of cloth. While sleeping, dreaming, eating, or moving about, his heart was filled with thoughts about the nature of objects, the nature of time, the peculiarities of aqueous and terrestrial properties. One evening, Rajanath was sitting on the bank of the Ganga, contemplating the 16 categories propounded by Gautama in his system of logic, when a new student of the Nyaya Shastra approached him. Nyaya Panchanana Mahashai, said the student. Have you heard of Nimai Pandit's logical refutation of the atomic theory of creation? Nyaya Panchanana roared like a lion. Who is Nimai Pandit? Are you speaking about the son of Jagannath Mishra? Tell me about his logical arguments. The student said, a great person named Nimai Pandit lived in Navadvip just a short time ago. He composed many innovative logical arguments related to the Nyaya Shastra, and thus embarrassed Kanai Bhatta Shiromani. Kanai Bhatta Shiromani was the one that wrote the commentary that Rajanath said it was faulty. And so Nimai Pandit, he embarrassed that Kanai Bhatta Shiromani. During his time, there was no scholar equal to him in the mastery of Nyaya Shastra. Yet, even though he was so adept in the Nyaya Shastra, he considered it quite insignificant. Indeed, he regarded not only the Nyaya Shastra, but the entire material world as trifling. He therefore adopted the life of a wandering mendicant in the renounced order and traveled from place to place propagating the chanting of Harinam. Present-day Vaishnavas accept him as Purna Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they worship him with the Sri Gaur Hari mantra. Nyaya Panchanana Mahashaya, you must look into his dialectical arguments at least once. After hearing praise of Nimai Pandit's logical reasoning, Rajanath Nyaya Panchanan became quite curious to hear his arguments. With difficulty, he was able to collect a few of those arguments from various sources. Human nature is such that when one develops faith in a particular subject, he will naturally feel regard for the teachers of that subject. Moreover, for various reasons, common people do not easily develop faith in exalted personalities who are still living, whereas they tend to develop great faith in the activities of Mahajans who have passed away. We can see that all throughout history. I mean, just even what like our Western history, like people like Nikola Tesla and like that, during their lifetime, nobody thought they were anything special, and but now they're celebrated. And yeah, that's just we see that with like anyways, there's so many examples of that. With our acharyas even. When the acharya is on the planet, then so many people disregard him and like that. But then after they enter Nitya Lila, then all of a sudden they start to honor and respect them. I've seen that with my Gurudev a lot. So Nyaya Panchanana developed unshakable faith in Nimai Pandit by studying his logical thesis. Vrajanath would say, "O Nimai Pandit, if I had been born during your time, there is no telling how much I could have learned from you. O Nimai Pandit, kindly enter my heart just once. You are truly Purna Brahma, for otherwise, how could such extraordinary logical arguments have come from your mind? You are undoubtedly Gaur Hari, for you have destroyed the darkness of ignorance by creating such remarkable arguments. The darkness of ignorance is black, but you have removed it by becoming Gaur, by becoming fair complexioned. You are Hari because you can steal the minds of the entire world. You have stolen away my heart with the ingenuity of your logic." Repeatedly speaking in this way, Vrajanath became somewhat frantic. He called out loudly, "Oh Nimai Pandit, oh Gaur Hari, please be merciful to me. When will I be able to create logical arguments like yours? If you are merciful unto me, there is no telling how great a scholar of the Nyaya Shastra I may become." Vrajanath thought to himself, "It seems to me that those who worship Gaur Hari must also be attracted to Nimai Pandit's scholarship in Nyaya, just as I am. I should go to them and see whether they have any books that he has composed on Nyaya." Thinking like this, Vrajanath developed a desire to associate with the devotees of Gauranga. By constantly uttering the pure names of Bhagavan, such as Nimai Pandit and Gaur Hari, and by desiring to associate with the devotees of Gaur, Vrajanath earned tremendous sukriti. One day, while Vrajanath was taking a meal with his paternal grandmother, he asked, "Grandmother, did you ever see Gaur Hari?" Upon hearing the name of Sri Gauranga, Vrajanath's grandmother nostalgically remembered her childhood and said, "Aha, what an enchanting form he had! Alas, will I ever behold his beautiful, sweet form again? Can anyone who has seen that captivating form ever engage her mind in domestic affairs again?" When he performed Harinam Kirtan, absorbed in ecstatic trance, the birds, beasts, trees, and creepers of Navadip would completely lose consciousness of the external world due to intoxication of prem. Even now, when I contemplate these thoughts, an incessant flow of tears streams uncontrollably from my eyes and soaks my breasts. Vrajanath inquired further, "Do you recall any pastimes that he performed?" Grandmother replied, "I certainly do, my son. When Sri Gauranga would visit the house of his maternal uncle with Mother Shachi, the elderly ladies of our house fed him shak, spinach, and rice. He would praise the shak very highly and eat it with great prem." At that precise moment, Vrajanath's own mother placed some shak on his plate. Seeing it and appreciating the serendipity of the moment, Vrajanath became overjoyed. "This is the beloved shak of the logician Nimai Pandit," he said, and ate it with the utmost reverence. And we see in a couple of the songs that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote that are in the Gaudiya Giti Kucha, like on Akadashi we sing, "Gaura Priya Shaka Sevane Jivana Sarthaka Mani." When I eat shak, then I feel that my life is successful because this shak was Gaura Priya. It was very dear to Mahaprabhu. And then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur even wrote an entire song about how Mahaprabhu liked shak, which is also in the Gaudiya Giti Kucha. Bhare ekadina shanti pure Prabhu Advaita ghare dui Prabhu bhojane boshilo Shaka kori ashvadan Prabhu bole bhaktagan e Shaka Krishna ashvadilo. So, um, Shaka kori ashvadan. What is it? Anyways, but yeah. So whenever we take prasad, we should remember like that, just like Vrajanath here. Although Vrajanath was completely lacking in transcendental knowledge of absolute reality, he became extremely attached to Nimai Pandit's brilliant scholarship. Indeed, the intensity of his attraction could not be estimated. Even the name of Nimai was a delight to his ears. When mendicants came to beg alms uttering Jai Shachinandan, he received them warmly and fed them. He would sometimes go to Mayapur, where he would hear the Babajis chanting the names of Gauranga, and he would ask them many questions about Gauranga's triumphant activities in the field of scholarship and learning. After a few months of these activities, right, we see his sukriti is increasing and increasing and increasing. So Rajanath, he is no longer his former self. Previously, Nimai's name had pleased him only in connection with his scholarship in Nyaya. But now, Nimai pleased him in all respects. Rajanath lost all interest in studying and teaching Nyaya, and he no longer had any taste for dry arguments or debate. Nimai the logician no longer had any standing in the kingdom of his heart, for Nimai the devotee had usurped all authority. Rajanath's heart would begin to dance when he heard the sound of the mridanga and kartals, and he would offer pranam within his mind whenever he saw pure devotees. He displayed great devotion toward Sri Navadvip, respecting it as the birthplace of Sri Gaurangadev. When rival pundits saw that Nyaya Panchanan had become soft-hearted, they were very pleased at his condition. Now they could openly step out of their houses without any fear. Nyayika Pandit, the one who tried to kill, tried to do the tantra stuff to kill Rajanath, he thought that his worshipable deity had rendered Rajanath inactive, and there was no longer any need to be afraid. One day, while Rajanath was sitting in a secluded place on the bank of the Bhagirathi, he thought to himself, if such a profound scholar of the Nyaya Shastra as Nimai could renounce logic and adopt the path of bhakti, what fault would there be if I do the same? While I was obsessed with Nyaya, I could not apply myself to the cultivation of bhakti, nor could I bear to hear the name of Nimai. In those days, I was so immersed in the Nyaya Shastra that I could not even find time to eat, drink, or sleep. Now I see things in quite the opposite way. I no longer contemplate the topics of the Nyaya Shastra. Instead, I always remember the name of Gauranga. Still, even though the ecstatic devotional dancing of the Vaishnavas captivates my mind, I am the son of a Vedic Brahmin. I was born in a prestigious family, and I am highly respected in society. Although I truly believe that the behavior and conduct of the Vaishnavas is excellent, it is inappropriate for me to adopt their ways outwardly. There are many Vaishnavas in Sri Mayapur at Kol Bhanga Danga, where Chand Kazi broke the mridanga to stop the Sankirtan, and at Vairagi Danga, the place of Vaishnav asceticism. I feel happy and purified at heart when I see the radiance of their faces. But amongst all those devotees, it is Sri Raghunath Das Babaji Mahashai who completely captivates my mind. When I see him, my heart fills with Shraddha. I would like to be by his side. I would like to be by his side continuously and learn the Bhakti Shastras from him. It is said in the Vedas, Atmava are drashava shrotavyo mantravyo nidadhyasitavya. That's from the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 456. That means one should see, hear about, think of, and meditate on the supreme absolute truth. And the key word here is shrotavyo. We have to hear about the absolute truth. We have to hear from somebody superior to us, right? So in this mantra, the word mantavya means to be thought of, to be considered or examined, to be admitted or assumed, to be approved or sanctioned, or to be called into question. Although this word suggests that one should acquire Brahmagyan by studying the Nyaya Shastra, the word shrotavya, to be heard or learned from a teacher, implies the necessity for something greater. Yeah, it's not just in our mind. Mantavya means to be mind or called into question but no, the word shrotavya is there, which means it needs to be heard, not just contemplated in our minds, but we need to hear from a superior source, from a teacher. So far, I've spent much of my time in useless arguments and debate. Now, without wasting any more time, I long to dedicate myself to the feet of Sri Gaur Hari. It will therefore be most beneficial for me to go after sunset and take darshan of Sri Raghunath Das Babaji Mahashaya. Rajanath set out for Sri Mayapur at the close of day. The sun was rapidly vanishing below the western horizon, but its crimson rays were still dancing amidst the treetops. A gentle breeze blew from the south, and birds flew in various directions, returning to their nests. The first few stars were gradually appearing in the sky. As Rajanath arrived in Srivas Angan, the courtyard of Srivas Thakur's house, the Vaishnavas began Sandhya Arati in worship of Bhagavan, chanting and singing with sweet voices. Rajanath took his seat on a platform beneath a bakul tree. His heart melted as he heard the Arati Kirtan of Gaur Hari, and when it ended, the Vaishnavas joined him on the platform. So it seems like he wasn't at the point where he could actually join in the Sandhya Arati because he was the son of a Vedic Brahmin. He had his, he wasn't able to mingle with the Vaishnavas in that way yet. But he appreciated them so much and he sat under the bakul tree waiting for it to end, right? So then the Vaishnavas joined him on the platform. At that time, the elderly Raghunath Das Babaji Mahashaya came and took a seat on the platform, chanting, Jai Sachinandan, Jai Nityananda, Jai Rupa Sanatan, Jai Dasa Goswami. As he did so, everyone rose and offered him Dandavat Pranam, and Rajanath also felt compelled to do the same. When the aged Babaji Mahashaya saw the extraordinary beauty of Rajanath's face, he embraced him and requested him to sit by his side. Who are you, my son? Asked Babaji. Rajanath replied, I am one who is thirsting for the truth, and I long to receive some instruction from you. A Vaishnav seated nearby recognized Rajanath, and he said, His name is Rajanath Nyaya Panchanana. There is no scholar of Nyaya equal to him in all of Navadip, but now he has developed some faith in Sachinandan. Hearing of Rajanath's vast erudition, the elderly Babaji said courteously, My dear son, you are a great scholar, and I am a foolish and wretched soul. You are a resident of the holy dham of our Sachinandan, and we are therefore objects of your mercy. How can we instruct you? Kindly share with us some of the purifying narrations of your Gauranga and pacify our burning hearts. As Babaji Maharaj and Vrajanath conversed in this way, the other Vaishnavas gradually arose and dispersed to resume their respective services. Haribol Chatamai Mataji and Suman Shilji. Hare Krishna. Okay, so the Vaishnavas gradually arose and dispersed to resume their respective services. Vrajanath said, Babaji Mahashaya, I was born in a Brahmin family, and as a result, I am very proud of my learning. Because of my egoism of high birth and knowledge, I think this earth is within the grip of my hand. I have no idea how to honor sadhus and great persons. I cannot say by what good fortune I have awakened faith in your character and behavior. I wish to ask you a few questions. Please answer them, understanding that I have not come to you with any ulterior motive. Brajanath then asked Babaji Mahashaya fervently, kindly instruct me. What is the jiva's ultimate goal of life? What is the jiva's sadhya? And what is the means? What is the sadhan to attain that goal, that sadhya? While I was studying Nyaya Shastra, I concluded that the jiva is eternally separate from Ishvar, and that the mercy of Ishvar is the only cause of the jiva's obtaining mukti. I have understood that the particular method by which the mercy of Ishvar may be obtained is called sadhan. The results that is achieved through sadhan is known as sadhya. I have probed the Nyaya Shastra many times with the inquiry as to what are sadhya and sadhan. However, the Nyaya Shastra remains completely silent on this point. It has not supplied me with the answer. Please tell me your conclusions regarding sadhya and sadhan. Sri Raghunath Das Babaji was a disciple of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and he was not only an erudite scholar, but also a self-realized saint. He had lived for a long time at Radhakund under the shelter of Sri Das Goswami's lotus feet. And every afternoon, he had heard from him the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Dev. Raghunath Das Babaji would regularly discuss philosophical truths with Krishnadas Kaviraj Mahashaya. And whenever some doubt arose, they resolved it by inquiring from Sri Das Goswami. After both Raghunath Das Goswami and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami left this world, Sri Raghunath Das Babaji came to Sri Mayapur and became the principal Pandit Babaji in Sri Gaudamandal. He and Prem Das Paramahansa Babaji Mahashaya of Sri Godrum often discussed topics of Sri Hari, absorbed in Prem. And the whole first part of, the previous 11 chapters of Jaiva-dharma goes Prem Das Paramahansa Babaji Mahashaya of Godrum. He's the main character, the main teacher. And now it's moving over to Raghunath Das Babaji Mahashaya. Babaji. Nyaya Panchanana Mahashaya. Anyone who studies the Nyaya Shastra and then inquires about sadhya and sadhan is certainly blessed in this world, because the chief aim of the Nyaya Shastra is to compile axiomatic truths through logical analysis. It is a waste of time to study the Nyaya Shastra just to learn how to engage in dry argument and debate. If one does so, his study of logic has produced an illogical result. His study of logic has produced an illogical result. His labor is futile, and he has spent his life in vain. Sadhya means the truth, tattva, that is attained by undertaking a specific practice. The practice is called sadhan, and it is the means that one adopts to obtain that sadhya, that goal. Those who are bound by Maya view different objects as the ultimate goal of life, according to their individual tendencies and qualifications. In reality, however, there is only one supreme goal. There are three goals that one may try to attain, and different individuals will choose one or the other according to their tendency and adhikar, their eligibility. These three goals are bhukti, that's material enjoyment, mukti, liberation, and bhakti, devotional service. Those who are ensnared in worldly activities and who are directed by desires for material pleasure take bhukti as their goal. The Shastras are compared to a cow that fulfills all desires. So they're like a kamadhenu. For a human being can obtain whatever objects he desires from them. The Shastras dealing with Karma Kanda have explained that material enjoyment is the sadhya, is the goal, for those who are eligible to engage in fruitive action. And these Shastras delineate all varieties of material pleasure that one could possibly they delineate all varieties of material pleasure that one could possibly strive to attain in this world. Having accepted material bodies in this world, the jivas are particularly fond of sensual enjoyment. The material world is an abode to facilitate enjoyments through the material senses. The pleasure one enjoys through the senses from birth until death is known as enjoyment pertaining to this life, aihik sukha. There are many different types of sensual pleasures that one may enjoy in the state one attains after death, and these are called amutrika sukha, that's enjoyment pertaining to the next life. For example, the pleasures of the celestial sphere include residing in Swarga, the higher planets, or Indraloka, the planet of Indra, and witnessing the dancing of the celestial society girls known as Apsaras, drinking the nectar of immortality, smelling the fragrant flowers, and seeing the beauty of the Nandakanan gardens, seeing the wonder of Indrapuri, hearing the melodious songs of the Gandharvas, and associating with the celestial damsels known as the Vidyadharis. Above Indralok, in succession, are the planets of Maharlok, Janalok, Tapolok, and finally, Brahmalok, the highest planet in the material universe. The Shastras give fewer descriptions of Maharlok and Janalok than of the celestial pleasures in Indralok, and fewer descriptions still of Tapolok and Brahmalok. In contrast, the sensual pleasure of this earth planet, Burlok, is extremely gross. The rule is that the higher the planetary system, the more subtle are the senses and their objects. This is the only difference between these realms. Otherwise, the happiness available on all these planets is merely the pleasure of the senses, and there is no happiness other than this. Spiritual happiness, chitsuk, is absent on all these planets, for the happiness found in such places is related to the subtle body, which consists of the mind, intelligence, and ego, and is merely a semblance of pure consciousness. The enjoyment of all these types of pleasure is called bhukti. And the sadhan for the jivas trapped in the cycle of karma consists of activities they adopt to fulfill their aspirations for bhukti. It is said in the Yajurveda 2.5.5, Swarga kamo shvamedham yajeta. Those who desire to attain the heavenly planets should perform the Ashvamedha Yagya. And pretty much all religions, most all religions in this world that's the aim, right? Is to attain heavenly planets. So it's all like karma yoga. The Shastras describe many types of sadhana to obtain bhukti, such as a particular type of fire sacrifice called agnishtoma, oblations offered to a certain class of devatas, digging wells, building temples, and performing similar beneficial works for others, and ceremonies on days of the new and full moon. Bhukti, enjoyment, is the object of attainment, that is the sadhya, for those who aspire for material enjoyment. Okay, so that was, right, there are three goals and for all the living entities of this world, karma, and now he's going to go through the goal of the sadhya one is bhukti, and now he's going to go through the sadhya of mukti. Some of those who are oppressed by the miseries of material existence consider the 14 planetary systems, which are the abodes of all material enjoyment, worthless. These people, therefore, desire to become free from the cycle of karma. They consider that mukti is the only sadhya, and that bhukti is simply bondage. So liberation is the only sadhya. That's the only goal. And then bhukti is just bondage. Such people say, those whose inclination for material enjoyment has not yet waned may realize their goal of bhukti by following karmakanda. However, Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 verse 21 states, Kshine punye martalokam vishanti. When their pious credits have been exhausted, they again enter the planets of mortality. So those desiring mukti, they say, this shloka establishes clearly and indisputably that bhukti is perishable and not eternal. Whatever is subject to decay is material, not spiritual. One should undertake sadhana only to obtain an eternal objective. Mukti, liberation, is eternal, so it must certainly be the sadhya for the jivas. Mukti can be attained by 4 types of sadhana. What are the 4 types of sadhana for mukti? These are discriminating between eternal and temporary objects, renouncing enjoyment of the fruits of this world and the next, developing 6 qualities, such as control of the mind and senses, and cultivating the desire for liberation. These 4 activities are the true sadhana. This is the viewpoint of those who regard mukti as the object of attainment. And the Shastras propounding Gyan Khanda present this analysis of sadhya and sadhana. The Shastras are Kamadhenu, and they arrange different situations for the jivas according to their adhikar, their level of qualification. Mukti is generally understood to be the cessation of the individual ego. However, if the jivas retain their individual existence and identities when they attain it, mukti cannot be the final attainment. This means that the jivas can only take mukti up to the limit of annihilation of the individual self, nirvana. But the jivas are eternal, so they cannot really be annihilated. This is confirmed in the Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.13, Nityo Nityanam Chetanash Chetananam. He is the supreme eternal being among all eternal living beings, and he is the supreme conscious entity amongst all conscious entities. Yeah, so how could there be many entities and he's the eternal entities? And then this and other Vedic mantras establish that the jiva is eternal, and that the annihilation of his individual existence, nirvana, is therefore impossible. Those who accept this conclusion understand that the jiva continues to exist as an individual after he attains mukti. Consequently, they do not accept bhukti or mukti as the ultimate goal. Rather, they consider that bhukti and mukti are actually extraneous goals which are foreign to the nature of the jiva. Every endeavor has a goal and some means to attain it. The results that one strives to attain is known as sadhya, and the practice one adopts to bring about that result is known as sadhana. If you reflect deeply, you will see that the goals of the living entities and the means that they adopt to attain them are like successive links in a chain. What is a sadhya, what is a goal now, becomes a sadhana, the means to obtain the next sadhya later on. If one obtains this chain of cause and effect, one eventually comes to the final link in the chain. The effect, or sadhya, that is attained at the final stage is the highest and ultimate sadhya, which does not become a sadhana, which does not become a means for anything else, because there's no sadhya beyond it. When one crosses all the links in this chain of sadhya and sadhana, like they perform this practice to reach the goal, and then they realize, oh wait, this is just like one step towards, this is the actual goal. And then they perform all those steps, and then they get to that goal of mukti. And then they realize, oh wait, this isn't the goal, like this isn't the ultimate goal. And then they see bhakti, and there's no goal beyond bhakti. So when one crosses all the links in this chain of sadhya and sadhana, one eventually reaches the final link, which is known as bhakti. Bhakti is therefore the highest sadhya, because it is the jiva's eternal state of perfection, nitya-siddha bhav. Every action in human life is a link in the chain of sadhana and sadhya, or cause and effect. The karma section of this chain of cause and effect consists of many links joined together. When one progresses beyond this, a further series of links from another section known as Gyan. A further series of links form another section known as Gyan. Finally, the Bhakti section begins where the Gyan section ends. The final sadhan in the chain of karma is bhukti. The final sadhya in the chain of Gyan is mukti. And the final sadhya in the chain of bhakti is prema bhakti. If one reflects upon the nature of the jiva's perfected state, one must conclude that bhakti is both sadhan and sadhya. Karma and Gyan are not the final sadhya or final sadhan, where they are only intermediate stages. Vrajanath. There are many prominent statements in the Upanishads that do not establish that bhakti is supreme, or that it is the ultimate sadhya of attainment. It is said in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 4.5.15 and 2.4.24, Kena kam pashyat. Who should see? Whom will they see? And by what means? There's I guess it's Brahma, because there's nothing to see. Everything's one, I guess. I don't know. It is also stated in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 1.4.10, Ahang Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. It is said in the Aitireya Upanishad 1.5.3, Pragyanam Brahma. That means consciousness is Brahma. And in the Chandogya Upanishad 6.8.7, it is said, Tattvam Asi Shvetaketu. O Shvetaketu, you are that Brahma. Considering all these statements, what is wrong in regarding mukti as the supreme sadhya? Then Babaji, I've already explained that there are many different types of sadhya according to different tendencies. One cannot accept the validity of mukti as long as one has any desire for bhukti. And many of the statements in Shastra are written for people on that level. For instance, in the Apastamba Shrota Sutra 211, it states, Akshayam hi vai chaturmasya yajina. Those who observe the vow of chaturmasya obtain perpetual residence in heaven. Does this mean that mukti is a worthless goal? The karmis desire only sense gratification. They cannot discover the recommendations from Shastra for mukti. But does that mean that mukti is not described anywhere in the Vedas? A few of the rishis who recommend the path of karma maintain that renunciation is only prescribed for those who are incompetent, and that those who are competent should perform karma. This is not actually true. These instructions are given for people on lower levels of spiritual advancement in order to promote their faith in their respective positions. It is inauspicious for jivas to neglect the duties for which they are responsible. If one carries out one's duties in full faith that they are appropriate for one's present level, one easily gains access to the next level of qualification. Consequently, prescriptions in the Vedas promoting this type of faith have not been condemned. On the contrary, if one condemns such prescriptions, one is liable to fall down. All jivas who have attained the elevation in this world have done so strictly by adhering to the duties for which they were qualified. Gyan is actually superior to karma because it yields mukti. Nonetheless, the Shastras that discuss competence for karma praise karma most highly, and they do not substantiate the preeminence of Gyan. Similarly, where Shastras discuss competence for Gyan, we find all the mantras that you have mentioned which praise mukti. However, just as the eligibility for Gyan is superior to that for karma, the eligibility for bhakti is superior to that for Gyan. Mantras such as Tattvam Asi and Aham Brahmasmi praise the impersonal liberation, and they strengthen the faith of those who seek it to follow the path for which they are qualified. For this reason, it is not wrong to establish the eminence of Gyan. However, Gyan is not the ultimate sadhan, and the sadhya of Gyan, namely mukti, is not the ultimate sadhya. The Vedic mantras establish the final conclusion that bhakti is the sadhan, and prem bhakti is the sadhya. Vrajanath. The mantras that I quoted are principal statements of the Vedas. They are known as the Mahavakyas. How can the sadhya and sadhan that they put forward possibly be extraneous? These are the main aphorisms of Yeah, the Vedas. So then Babaji says the Vedic statements you quoted just a moment ago, they are not described as Mahavakyas anywhere in the Vedas, nor have they been described as superior to other statements. Teachers of Gyan have proclaimed these statements, are Mahavakyas, in order to establish the preeminence of their own doctrine. But in reality, the pranava, the omkar, that is the only Mahavakya. All other Vedic statements relate only to particular aspects of Vedic knowledge. It would not be incorrect to refer to all the statements of the Vedas as Mahavakyas. However, it is dogmatic to single out one particular statement of the Vedas as the Mahavakya and to label all others as ordinary. Those who do so are committing an offense to the Vedas. The Vedas describe many extraneous goals and the means to attain them, so they sometimes praise karma kanda and sometimes mukti. But in the ultimate analysis, the Vedas conclude that bhakti alone is both sadhan and sadhya. The Vedas are like a cow, and Sri Nandanandan is the milkman. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verses 46 to 47, he has revealed the purport of the Vedas regarding their ultimate aim. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi, jnanibhyo pimato dika, karmibhyaschadiko yogi, tasmad yogi bhavarjuna, yoginam api sarvesham margatenantaratmana, shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. O Arjuna, a yogi is greater than all types of ascetics, fruitive workers, and those who cultivate impersonal knowledge aiming at liberation. Therefore, become a yogi. And I consider that the greatest of all yogis is one who is attached to me with firm faith, and who constantly worships me with full expression of the heart. It is said in the Shvetashvatar Upanishad 6.23, Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata guru tassaite katita hyartha prakashante mahatmana. All the confidential purports of the Vedas are fully revealed to that great soul who has the same para bhakti for his Gurudev as he has for Sri Bhagavan. It is said in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, Purva Vibhag 2.2, Bhaktir asya bhajanam tad ihamutro padi nairasyenaiva mushmin manasa kalpanam etad evacha naishkarmyam. Bhakti performed for the pleasure of Sri Krishna is known as bhajan. This means to give up all desires for enjoyment in this world and the next, to dedicate one's mind unto Krishna, and to develop a feeling of complete unity with him because of an overwhelming sense of prema. This bhajan also entails freedom from all result-oriented activity. We're like pretty much at the end. So it'll probably take like another 5 minutes to finish. Just letting you know, because I see it's 8 o'clock. It is said in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 148, Atmanam eva priyam upastita. That means one should worship the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Soul, Shri Krishna, as the dearest object of one's affection. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 456, it is also said, Atmava aridrashtavya shrotavyo mantavyo nididhasitavya. That's the verse that Rajanath already was thinking about. That, right? We already went through this. Mantavyo and Shrotavyo. So, O Maitreyi, one should see, hear about, think of, and meditate upon the supreme absolute truth, Paramatma. When one studies these Vedic statements carefully, it is clear that bhakti is the best form of sadhana. Rajanath. The Karma Kanda section of the Vedas gives instructions to perform bhakti to Ishwar, who bestows the results of all action. In the Gyan Kanda section, we also find instructions to satisfy Hari by performing bhakti through the medium of the 4 types of sadhan known as sadhan chatushtoy. So how can bhakti be the sadhya if it is the means to obtain bhukti and mukti? Since bhakti is the means, it ceases to exist when it produces bhukti or mukti. This is the general principle. Please educate me on this question. So yeah, it's seen that bhakti is just a means to obtain. Bhakti is just a means to obtain bhukti, and bhakti is just a means to obtain mukti. And then once you obtain it, then you stop performing bhakti. So how can it be the greatest? Then Babaji, it is true that performing the regulative practices, the sadhan of bhakti in karma kanda gives material enjoyment, and bhakti sadhan performed in gyan kanda gives mukti. One cannot achieve any result without satisfying Parameshwar, and he is only satisfied by bhakti. He is the reservoir of all potencies, and whatever potency is found within the jivas or within inert matter is only an infinitesimal display of his potency. Karma and Gyan cannot satisfy Ishvar. Karma and Gyan give a result only with the help of Bhagavad Bhakti. They are incapable of producing a result independently. Therefore, it is seen that there is an arrangement for some performance of a semblance of bhakti in karma and Gyan. However, this is not Shuddha Bhakti. This is not pure Bhakti. Rather, it is only Bhakti-bhas. It is only a semblance of Bhakti. Accordingly, the Bhakti seen in karma and Gyan is a mere semblance of devotion, not pure devotion, not Shuddha Bhakti. And it is this Bhakti-bhas, this semblance of devotion, that is instrumental in bringing forth the results of those pursuits. There are two types of Bhakti-bhas. There's Shuddha Bhakti-bhas, pure Bhakti-bhas, and Vidya Bhakti-bhas, adulterated. I shall describe pure Bhakti-bhas later. But for the present, you should know that there are three types of adulterated Bhakti-bhas. These are Bhakti-bhas adulterated with fruit of action, Bhakti-bhas adulterated with monistic knowledge, and Bhakti-bhas adulterated with both fruit of action and monistic knowledge. While a person is performing a yajna, he may say, O Indra, O Pushan, the Devata of the sun, please be merciful and give us the results of this yajna. All activities exhibiting a semblance of bhakti adulterated with this type of desire are known as a semblance of bhakti adulterated with fruit of action. Some magnanimous souls have referred to this type of adulterated bhakti as devotion mixed with fruit of action. That's karma mishra bhakti. Others have described it as activities to which the symptoms of bhakti are indirectly attributed, arop siddha bhakti. Another person may say, O Yadunandan, I have come to know you out of fear of material existence. I chant your name, Hare Krishna, day and night. Please grant me liberation. O Supreme Lord, you are Brahma. I am fallen into the trap of Maya. Please deliver me from this entanglement and let me merge in oneness with you. These sentiments are a semblance of bhakti adulterated with monistic knowledge. Some magnanimous souls have described this as devotion mixed with monistic knowledge, Gyan Mishra Bhakti, and others as activities to which the symptoms of bhakti are indirectly attributed, Arop Siddha Bhakti. These adulterated forms of devotion are different from Shuddha Bhakti, from pure devotion. It is said in the Gita, chapter 6, verse 47, Shraddhavan bhajate mam. Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. I consider that one who worships me with faith is the best of all yogis. The bhakti to which Sri Krishna is referring in this statement is Shuddha Bhakti, and this is our sadhan. When it is perfected, it is prem. Karma and Gyan are the means to obtain bhukti and mukti respectively. They are not means by which the jiva can obtain his nitya siddhabhav, or eternally constitutional position of divine love. When Vrajanath heard all these conclusive truths, he was unable to make further inquiries that day. Instead, he reflected within himself. The examination and discussion of all these subtle philosophical truths is superior to the dialectical analysis of the Nyaya Shastra. Babaji Mahashaya is vastly learned in these matters. I will gradually acquire knowledge by inquiring from him about these topics. It is quite late, so I should return home now. Thinking thus, he said, Babaji Mahashaya, today, by your mercy, I have received essential, superior knowledge. I would like to come to you from time to time to receive this type of instruction. You are a deeply realized scholar and a great teacher. Please be merciful to me. Kindly permit me to ask you just one more question today, since it is already late, and I will return home when I have heard your answer. Did Sri Sachinandan Gauranga write any book in which all of his instructions can be found? If he did, I am anxious to read it. Babaji Mahashaya replied, Sriman Mahaprabhu did not write any book of his own, but his followers wrote many books on his order. Mahaprabhu personally gave the jivas 8 instructions in the form of aphorisms named Shikshashtak. These are like a necklace of jewels for the bhaktas. In these 8 shlokas, he has imparted the instructions of the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Upanishads, and the Puranas in a concise and confidential manner, as if keeping a vast ocean in a single picture. Based on these confidential instructions, the bhaktas have composed 10 fundamental principles known as Daśa-mūla. This Daśa-mūla succinctly describes both sadhya and sadhana, with reference to the topics of sambandha, abhideya, and prayojan. You should understand this first. Whatever you order, it is my duty to fulfill, said Rajanath. You are my Shiksha Guru. I will come tomorrow evening and take instruction from you on Daśa-mūla. Rajanath then offered Dandavat Pranam to Babaji Mahashaya, who embraced him with great affection. My son, said Babaji, you have purified the Brahmin lineage. It will give me great pleasure if you come tomorrow evening. Thus ends the 12th chapter of Jaiva-dharma, entitled Nitya-dharma and Sādhana. End of the first division of Jaiva-dharma. Tomorrow we will begin the second division, the fundamentals of sambandha, abhideya, and prayojan. And these next chapters of Jaiva-dharma are all like the same amount of words that we read today, like 6,500 words. But I am going to divide them into 2 parts. So we will take 2 days to read each chapter. That way I won't go overtime like I did today. So tomorrow, instead of reading 6,500 words like we did today, we'll just read like 3,000 words, 3,000 something words like that. And then our sessions can be short and we can give some time to memorizing the verses of Daśa-mūla. So, all right. Oh, Haribo Anjali Didi. Yes, it's a long chapter. All right, I'll do a very short Mahamantra and very short Jaidwani because I'm already 9 minutes over time. And all right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Nitai Gaur Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Gaur Hari bol. जय सच्चिनंदन गौर हरि की जय, श्री श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जय, जय श्री गुरुदेव की जय, श्री परम गुरुदेव की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री रूपानु गौरिया गुरु वर्ग की जय, स्वापाशा जी गौ नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपी गण की जय, श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय, जय श्री जैव धर्म की जय, जय दशमूल शिक्षा की जय, जय श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय. And who is it? Vrajanath ki jai, Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai, jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur, jai Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Vo, Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyaya Keshavashacha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyavataya Namo Namaha, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhyayevacha, Patitanam Pavane Bhyo, Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranam. Sorry I started reading so quickly at the end. I just didn't want to go way too over time. As I mentioned, tomorrow the programs will be more peaceful. I'll read more slowly and we will finish on time. And this time I mean it. All right. Dandavat Pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Shri Devi Didi, Chatamai Mataji, Gokuleshwari Didi, Pradumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Anjali Didi, and let's see who else is there on YouTube and Facebook. Kishore Prabhu, Premavati Didi, Draupadi Didi, Suman Shilji, Krishna Mai Didi, Ganga Mataji. And thank you so much for joining. Also, Ganga Mataji, for her, it's like probably 3 o'clock in the morning or something crazy like that. And for Krishna Mai Didi and Premavati Didi, it's probably like 11:30 at night. So I'm very grateful that you're, or probably, I don't know what time it is, but I think it's pretty late. So thank you for getting up so early or staying up so late for joining this program, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Haribol. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna.